You can just...
Yeah, I'm just gonna point at the screen. But I just have to figure out how to. Oh, there is no back camera. Oh fuck.
Put it on the desk and then name it this.
Yeah. There we go. That's much better. Okay. Well, live stream of a Skype call.
So you're streaming it to like what, like your
My page, yeah.
Your Facebook page?
Yeah, the Young American, our YAL chapter Facebook
Oh,
page.
cool.
Yeah.
I think some of his supporters in California wanted to watch it. There.
Thank you. Yes. Song up.
You ready for the train station? There we go. That's thinking like an audio engineer.
There you go. Yeah, that's better.
All right.
So Justin,
Yeah.
would it be like maybe point the camera at us? It's a little bit awkward because all I can see is like the ceiling.
What if you sit in the chair or something?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll it's got to be plugged into here, but yeah, I can like
Oh, it's not like a big deal. I just thought for like.
Oh yeah. Right on.
Yeah, so like.
Woo! Yo.
All right, what's up, everybody?
What's up?
Whenever you're ready, just let me know.
yeah, we're ready to get started whenever you are.
What's that?
We're ready to get started whenever you are.
Oh, excellent. All right, cool. All right. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Nickolas Wildstar. I'm a Libertarian candidate, one of two that are running for Governor of California.
Yay.
And thank you very much to every one of you for being here. If you don't know about me or have learned about me and my campaign for governor, what you may not know either is I'm a musician. I actually moved out to California from Milwaukee, Wisconsin to pursue an industry and as a rap artist and pursue a career in that industry, and have found many great successes as an independent musician. I've had my music featured on Pandora. I have one of my songs featured in the movie Scary Movie 4. So I've had great accomplishments as an independent musician and my pursuits of that, and pretty much am supporting all of you guys in your aspects for what you'd like to accomplish for your musical goals also. One of the reasons why I did move to California, of all places, is because I saw it as being a place that would be an opportunity that would, or a place that would provide those opportunities to me to become a better musician, and of course, become a successful musician, opposed to moving out to somewhere like New York. So where you are definitely dictates how much freedom you're going to have to express yourself musically. And I know there in Massachusetts, there's a lot less political bureaucracy, you know, when it comes to expressing oneself. And I definitely hope that you guys are able to take advantage of that while you're there in your state. But being a rap artist, you're often seen as being a spokesman of the street. So when I talk about me being a musician and being a rap artist, a lot of people, I don't know, expect me to know Tupac lyrics and all of this other stuff. But within that music comes a relationship to those people that hear it. And being a spokesman of the inner city, or those people that are not afforded the same luxuries that others are afforded, pretty much puts those people to pick up the microphone and in a position to express those thoughts and those ideals. So being a rap artist or rock artist or any front musician, of course, is definitely going to give you that opportunity to get out front and be heard. And what I've learned in being in the music industry is there's a lot of political bureaucracy involved with it as well. When I moved out here, I was being pursued by major record labels, and they wanted me to change what I was saying on paper, change my lyrics, change my sound, and dictate the amount of creative control that I have. So being a musician, depending on what type of musician that you are and who you're working with, you may be told how to create your music. And as a musician, of course, you know that that's one of the worst things you want to do, because you're the artist. You want to be able to express yourself freely, and I'll let those creative juices flow as they may. But in the business of music, because it is a business, there will be an A&R or some record label executive that may come into your studio session and tell you, hey, well, I don't like that guitar riff, take it out. Or I don't like how the lead singer sang that hook, so take it out. So expressing your liberty as a musician is definitely one of the things that's liberating. Is you want to be able to have that freedom to control your own. So in many ways, it's relative to being an activist, because you have to be active in order for you to be a successful musician. The words that you put into your music, it's going to be able to motivate other people. It's going to be able to encourage them, to connect with them. The certain sounds that you use and orchestration is going to be able to touch people and move them. So being a musician is very powerful and has many strengths that you can definitely use in expressing libertarianism towards your friends, of course. And even if any of you out there are rap artists or are front man vocalists or front women, whatever the case may be, if you are out there and you do have the microphone, it is very powerful. Because I'm coming to find out, just in being in politics, that delivering a speech is just like busting out in a freestyle. So the words that I'm going to express during my musical composition or whatever are going to be ones that I'm hoping that my audience can relate to and connect with. And the same thing echoes to be the same with politics, because when I'm giving the speech, again, the audience that I'm catering to, I'm hoping to motivate them and encourage them to get involved into politics, as it be, whatever it may. And of course, it's to vote. And being a musician, again, as I said before, it definitely gives you plenty of advantages, especially when it comes to being comfortable with sharing your ideas with people. One of the main things that I found out about being a libertarian is a lot of people say it's hard to speak to their friends or family about libertarianism, its ideals, and the political movement that has been generated out of it. And with that, with you having those musical abilities, you're able to have the chance to break past those barriers that other people tend to deal with, those blockades that prevent other people from introducing diversity. You're able to present different ideas to people, and also being active in the community. Going out to these events and speaking to different groups is just like going out and doing a gig at a club or a showcase or something like that. So it's being able to use that stage, take advantage of it, and the same skills that you're going to be utilizing in the studio, whether it be in front of the mic or behind the mic, you're going to be able to also use those same skills in expressing libertarian ideas to your friends and family. So just think about those things when you go to talk about libertarianism, of course, to your loved ones and people in your inner circle. So one of the things that I also get asked since I am running for office is, since I'm running for governor, which is pretty much the #1 ticket for any state, is what would I do if I lose? And I don't really like to think about that because I want to focus on winning. But in the event that I do lose, my main goal is to just make a statement as a candidate that is ran for office as a third-party candidate, because the future of politics lies in the third-party candidate. The two parties, they're going to always regurgitate the same type of ideals and, of course, present them in different ways. But the one that's going to be the one that changes the game completely is the third-party candidate. So being that is made, I'm just hoping that my run for governor inspires others to do the same. I mean, no matter what strides that you may take in life, your one step forward in life may be perceived as 2 steps backwards for someone else. So always focus on moving forward in life. And what I also want to do, what I want people to receive from my candidacy is for me to challenge them and challenge them to think differently about how your tax dollars are spent and our personal choices, and challenge people to be differently, challenge people to vote differently. I don't know if you guys know who John McAfee is. He was a candidate that ran for president as a libertarian in the last election, and he ran against Gary Johnson, and his campaign slogan was "Vote Different," and that really rang true to me because it made me think different. Like, that's exactly what people need to do in order to make that difference in politics, is just start voting differently. So we want to, as libertarians, just challenge our friends and family to think outside of the box, because that's exactly what we're doing. And one of the things that I actually learned, I met Larry Sharp, who is a candidate running for governor of New York. And he came out here and visited during a convention, and we had an opportunity to speak. And one of the things that he was talking about was, when we speak to our friends and family, to pretty much not challenge them. And that also made me think, because I'm one person that's argued out the bat. I know that's probably hard for some of you to do, is, limit the amount of debates that you have with your loved ones over whatever they may think, or even a stranger, or whatever the case may be, on libertarian ideals. So what he said to me was pretty much, when people come to you expressing their ideals, don't debate them on them, don't challenge them on them, hear them out, and then express yours. And that's great, because it runs on the sentiment that pretty much we're going to be able to catch more bees with honey than with vinegar. So as long as we can focus on being able to hear people out and remembering that also being a libertarian is about being able to agree to disagree. It seems like whether you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, you must agree with everything on their platform and any other policy that they present. And the best thing about libertarianism is you can disagree with me, I can disagree with you, but as long as your disagreements our disagreements isn't hurting one another, then it benefits us both. So there are great strengths in us being able to, I guess, solidify all of our expressions to one another on the principle of, hey, you may be right, you may be wrong, but either which way we can still coexist in peace. So with that, I want to transition to talk a bit about what's going on with our college campuses, because it also relates to what's going on in the rest of our world. The cost of freedom of speech now is being waged. And when it comes to free speech, we got to think about what's really the cost of that, especially when hate speech is being expressed or someone being hateful, expressing that towards another one. I don't care if anybody is racist in my neighborhood or anything like that, but if they go out into my neighborhood expressing that hatred and exciting violence, that becomes a threat to me. So in which case, if it's the government's job to protect us, not to keep us safe, because that's nearly impossible. There's going to be people and criminals that act outside of the barriers of protection to harm one another. So when we go out there into the world and focus on, again, expressing our minds to one another, we need to just be open to what the other person is saying. And even with the argument of gun control, I just read that the Supreme Court made it okay, or are considering to make it okay, that people with open carry permits be able to carry their guns over state lines. And that is something that's a no-no here in the state of California, because we're not a concealed and open carry state. So to do something like that would be considered to be unlawful. But with this Supreme Court case now being taken on, there's a possibility that that can now be challenged. And people should be free to carry their own property, be able to protect themselves, especially when they may feel threatened by someone. And again, since government can only protect us as much as they can, we should be reliant upon ourselves to protect ourselves. The Second Amendment does not dictate the type of property that we should be able to allow to have. So government officials that make any type of elaboration on what it says is pretty much just working on their own prejudice. Any gun registration type of policies only harms those people that are lawful abiding citizens. Criminals aren't going to register their guns. And it's obscene for us to even think such a thing. A criminal is going to hurt someone, whoever they may be, without anyone knowing. They don't want to know what they're doing, which is why it's considered to be criminal activity. So any type of legislation that would promote any type of gun registration is going to hurt those people that, again, aren't doing anything wrong and are following the legal guidelines to protect themselves, protect their families, and as well as protect their communities. So, excuse me, as government has been created, it seems like the majority of the policies that they've created has been to limit the amount of advantages that we have as people. And of course, with us being libertarians, I don't know if you guys are involved in the political movement of it all with regards to running as candidates, but any type of policies that are going to be created to harm us, your goal should be to repeal or abolish any type of legislation. Of course, do not support it. So, for instance, with the net neutrality bill, music, the reason why independent musicians have gained so much traction and gotten so much success online is because the freedom that the internet provides to musicians. If a artist came out with the song today and was able to put it on YouTube and get 1 million hits or 1 million views, they'd be equally as competitive as some mainstream record label industry artists. So the internet has given great freedom to the independent musician. And net neutrality will pretty much kill that innovation, because now with those artists being on YouTube and wanting to put out their music to the world, let's say Time Warner or whatever the case may be, if they wanted to charge YouTube or a certain district or county for access, now that artist would be limited in the amount of audience that they have available to them. So it's policies such as that again limit our advantages as people and prevent us from being able to grow as a civilization. The spirit of being an American is all built upon us being able to express our creativity, our individual creativity, and have the freedom to go out in the world and share that with others, uninhibited, unadulterated, and uncensored. And with what's going on right now with our government and their attacks on the internet through net neutrality, through CISPA, through any type of internet regulation bill, is going to prevent any type of musician out there that's wanting to help or share their music with anybody. So even again, if you're behind the scenes creating music, then you have to take your ability there to make sure that the music that you're mixing, mastering, editing, whatever the case may be, is still able to share that message with the world. And definitely don't limit yourself musically, no matter what. And again, know that having that strength there, even with the argument of guns, the reason why America is such a gun-happy civilization or society is because our media promotes it. And one thing that I'm happy about, I would say, like the superhero type of movies and stuff like that, is it's creating a new mindset to where people are more accepting of supernatural abilities being used to defend themselves opposed to a gun. If a movie comes out where it's promoting gun violence, it ends up bombing in the box office versus something like the Avengers or Thor that ends up breaking in millions. So our society's like for guns or love for guns can definitely change again through art. And we got to be able to utilize any type of tool that we have to help change the mindset of those people around us. So if government is supposed to be working for us, it should be working for the betterment of our society. It is built on a philanthropic idea that we are a collective group of individuals that have been hired to help one another. And as individuals, even if you aren't even involved in running for office or any type of policy change, then you just being a libertarian, going out and expressing to people about how the foods that they eat, about how if they were labeled for knowing that they were genetically modified would be safer for you opposed to if they weren't. Or you being able to express your right to travel freely is restricted when you're told that you have to purchase a driver's license and purchase vehicle registration and purchase car insurance, all just to operate your vehicle. So it is limiting to us as individuals in various ways, and we just need to take that into accord. And of course, us being libertarians, we need to promote the message of minimizing government and maximizing our freedoms. Government can still operate, of course, but just on a smaller scale. It doesn't need to be as invasive as it does, and it definitely doesn't need to have as much control over our personal lives and thoughts as much as it does. So I, of course, promote any of you out there, since you all are young Americans for liberty, to tell your friends and family about libertarianism. If you haven't already, just keep talking about it. That's what's most important, is that we just need to change the conversation by promoting the conversation amongst each other. And use your artistic abilities, of course, to promote libertarianism, and just use your skills to help minimize government's control on our overall freedoms and liberties as individuals. So I don't want to talk too long. I know I'm probably rambling here, but I do thank you all for listening. And at this time, I'd like to go ahead and open the floor to questions if you guys may have them. Sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got a question. You already answered my first one about net neutrality. I've been in so many arguments over that, but this is a music-related question. Do you like KRS-One?
I do. I love KRS-One.
Oh, excellent. He's my favorite rapper, and he's a libertarian. I just found that out.
Yeah, actually, yeah, he's great. He's one of the first few MCs that got me intrigued by libertarianism. And yeah, I've actually had my music featured on his online radio station, which unfortunately went debunked, but you know, real music, that's the one thing about it. It's hard to kind of catch along with grassroots movements. We the people got to be the ones fueling that energy. You know, the revolution is not being televised, but through, you know, independent media sources, we're able to get the message across to each other. Thanks to Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, you know, peer-to-peer type of media outlets, we're able to connect with one another directly and bypass those people that would like to use propaganda to divide us and, you know, defeat us. That divide and conquer will always win until we unify. So, yes, definitely a fan of KRS-One.
Oh, excellent. With the whole net neutrality thing, like, I've been having a difficult time, like, explaining to people, because people seem to think that, like, regulation will make the internet more free and more equal. And it's just been really hard having discussions with people because everyone seems to be, like, on the side of net neutrality. And they seem to think I'm very naive, thinking that, like, without regulation, that it would actually function better. So what do you think are some good points to like, encourage debate on that?
Absolutely. Well, with the way the net neutrality bill is, I guess, based, you can just deliver it to people like this. What if you want to go onto YouTube and had to pay for it? What if you wanted to go onto Facebook and had to pay for it? What if you wanted to Google search something and had to pay for it just based on a provider choosing access and controlling the access for you, the individual? It is definitely limiting and not going to have the internet be as the free source that it always was, and can and will always be. It isn't governed by any specific country or any specific governing body, nor should it be. We should be able to determine what type of information that we want ourselves, and as long as we're paying our provider service fees or whatever to get access, you know, AT&T, they have my whole neighborhood on lock due to regulations, but I would like that to be broken up to where they could have different competing internet service providing companies, because they charge too much for it. It's a monopolization of our freedom, and it will continue to happen as long as we let things let go of our liberties in the name of security and freedom. And that's typically what the government always uses as their go-to kind of scapegoat for their dictatorial practices, is saying they're doing it to protect us. So just as much as you can, draw the lines between us losing the amount of freedoms that we have, opposed to us actually gaining more freedom because of it.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I see a lot of people, you know, kind of blaming corporations for what's actually the fault of government regulation.
Right.
And I see this point a lot. I think a lot of people have it reversed. They're like, oh yeah, corporations don't care about you at all. They just want to screw you over and take your money. The government actually cares about you. And I tend to think about that the other way around. Like the government taking your money by force, they're already screwing you over. And corporations, well, at least, like if you want to make money as a business, then you got to sell things to your customers that they can actually use. So they're not.
Exactly. Yeah. And you have to make them happy. That's the #1 business rule, is to make sure that your customers are happy so they can keep giving you their money. But government, on the other hand, they make it seem as if they're doing good for us, when really we know in actuality they're making things even worse and preventing us from expressing ourselves and having access to those products freely as we should. So government really needs to get out of the way. It's sad that a lot of people have the idea that government is put in place to protect us, and that's mainly, again, just based on the sentiment of what we believe government does and why it exists. So we need to stop letting people think about the ideals of what government is and make them start focusing on the actualities of what government is.
Oh yeah.
And is doing in our lives. Oh, pardon me. I did see a question in the back.
Yeah, so I want to talk about guns for a moment. So do you mostly argue the case, it sounds to me like you're talking about it from a pure natural rights perspective, but when people, so that's the first part of the question. So what I heard you say was that you were arguing mostly from pure like natural rights. But if somebody brings up the Second Amendment, how do you address the whole issue of the well-regulated militia? So it's a two-part question.
So the wording in the Second Amendment.
Right, yeah. So how do you just talk about guns as a natural right, or do you discuss it in relation to, you know, what's the wording of the Second Amendment and the whole business about a well-regulated militia? Because needless to say, gun control people will always say, well, you know, the government has a right to regulate guns because the Second Amendment says that, you know, you have to have a well-regulated militia. That's what it says.
Doesn't say government regulated.
Yeah. So I just
precisely, and that's the point. That's the point right there, what you just said. It doesn't say it's government regulated militia. If, for instance, if my neighborhood watch community group decided to organize and protect our neighborhood using guns, using weapons, who's to say that they should not be able to? Who's to say that how they should be trained? Because again, the well-regulated militia are those groups of individuals that are getting together to create that level of protection for the community, for the neighborhood, that are desiring that protection for themselves. So government shouldn't have to provide that to them. And actually, I actually do not advocate for any state-approved law enforcement. I think that's something that can be bought and paid for by local communities. There's some communities here that have less of a crime rate than others. So why should tax dollars be spent on providing law enforcement for the entire state versus it just being focused on those areas that are most violent? The same rings true for fire prevention, where there's, you know, there's fire departments that are paid millions of dollars and they never fight a fire any day of their life. They're, you know, rescuing cats out of trees. So it's sad that, again, people believe that their tax dollars are funding government to do good things, when really we know the actuality, and everybody knows, they just play ignorant to it. They don't. And so when it comes to protection of self as a natural right, whether it be a gun, whether it be a knife, whether it be a bat, you know, it could be anything I deem a weapon to protect myself. The The reason why guns were specified was because it was seen during that time as being the ultimate weapon for one to defend themselves. But now, because of development of more treacherous weapons, that's not the only way. Now you can use a rocket launcher, or poisons, or some kind of biological agent. So there's different types of ways that people can think of harming another person. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do it in a malevolent way. And when it boils down to self-defense, I should be able to utilize whatever type of weapon that I need in order to protect myself from any threat, whether it be one in my own household, one coming from my state, or one coming from another country. And that's why the Second Amendment was worded the way that it was, is because it is to let the people know, the people of the state. And another thing about constitutional rights, be sure to tell people this: it only is the construct of the rights that government is supposed to respect and protect. These are not we the people's only rights. You have the right to breathe, you have the right to, knock on wood, you have all types of rights. And that's why the Ninth Amendment was created, was to pretty much say that we, the government, are ignorant to the amount of rights that you inherently have, of course. So we can't list them all. We're only going to list the most important that we, again, will acknowledge and protect for you. And that's why the Second Amendment is one of those, is because to say and give you, the person, the individual, the right, individual right, inalienable right to protect yourself by any means necessary.
So you'd say
Did I answer that fully?
Yeah, that was good. But good luck, man. You're in California. You got a lot of people who want to go the way of Australia. So good luck, buddy.
So
yeah, but California is also a very liberally dominated state. I hate using that word, but through the Democratic Party, they've been promoted to frown upon guns being used as a means of protecting oneself. And through my candidacy, and of course through my election as governor of California, I would like to promote to people that the rights that you have and are being afforded to you by the Constitution as a sworn official, I am sworn to protect, and will do, and so will every elected official in the state and part of the governing body for the state of California. So no rights will be infringed under Governor Wildstar.
So legal recreational nukes?
So,
Pardon that?
Legal recreational nukes?
I don't know about that. Obviously, they do have drones. I don't even like that, but they're giving the LAPD drones, and they're going to be using that for surveillance. And, it's just getting out of control. And I think really, if people were promoted more to embrace each other and trust more of one another, we wouldn't want to harm. I would like to take away from our embrace of violence as a society for thinking that it should be a means of expression towards one another. And when I have a fight with a friend or a family member or anyone else, you don't immediately want to resort to violence. You want to handle it as amicably as possible, without anyone being hurt or injured, even if it's emotional. So we should learn how to be this way, not only with each other, with strangers, but with foreigners as well. So there's a matter of just changing the mentality with regards to our leadership. Our leadership has not advocated such things, which is why I, as governor of California, will be. Oh, yeah. Pardon me. Go ahead. Your question.
Yeah. So I was wondering what your opinion is of the NRA and also specifically the NRA in regards to I don't know if you heard about this, but recently in Hawaii, the police are saying that medical marijuana patients have I think 30 days or something to turn in all their guns, and the NRA is just kind of staying silent on that. So I'm wondering what you think of that.
Shoot, I totally turned off.
You still have it up. Can he still hear us?
We lost the sound.
Oh, why am I doing this?
Should we just go on your computer since it's?
Berklee's out to get us.
Actually, technically, we're not allowed to use the projector. Hey, we're just on computer speakers now. Yeah, so yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, but we missed your answer. So if you.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
I was saying that the two should definitely not be related at all. As much as the NRA wants to remain silent on the issue, I definitely disagree with that. I don't think that there should be any relation between medicinal marijuana patients or recreational marijuana users and legally owning people that own firearms. And I believe that was also an issue with the people of Washington as well, is that they were having their concealed carry permits be revoked just because they obtained a medicinal marijuana license. And that is something that I definitely would not support in the state of California. I would do everything in my power to make sure that there would not be any enforcement on behalf of law enforcement on making sure that such a discrimination would be made. Did you guys catch all of that?
Yeah, we did. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right. Anybody else have any other questions?
Hey, Mike, yes. You're here.
You know every libertarian ever.
Yeah, let me meet. So we're in
here. Everything's good.
All right, we got more people joining the party. That's cool. All right, well, is there any other questions that anyone would like to ask?
We got one in the back.
What's your opinion about Trump, just in general?
Say that again.
What's your opinion of Trump?
Opinion on Trump.
I can neither care for him or dislike him. I mean, he's not someone I would say I would believe would be or should be president of the United States. I don't really feel like he's a true example of what we all believe in and what we all want as Americans. He says the right things, and I believe that just like every other politician out there, he's used demagoguery to get him where he is. But in actuality, he only cares about his business associates. He only cares about keeping the oligarchy in control, and is definitely not going to do anything for the average American. And I'm not expecting much out of this presidency other than a lot of entertainment to keep us distracted from what's really going on in politics, as usual. And he's just as distracted to me as a president as Barack Obama was. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, because I was pretty much on the fence, too. I didn't know whether I liked him or I didn't like him. Because I guess I liked him because he wasn't Hillary Clinton. But then, I kind of didn't find anything good about him either. So it was kind of value from not being Hillary. So I'm on the same side as you, I guess.
Oh yeah, I just kind of went. He's a president. I'm an ANCAP.
Should have been attractive at all. I mean, when we go to vote, we should be voting on someone's genuine character. And Trump, through his celebrity status, has proven that he's never been a genuine person in nature. He's never been someone that we should be, I don't know, loving, but everybody needs love, and sometimes they have to pay for it. But at this point, he's bought the love and support of the American people, and I don't really think he's deserving of that. I think, if anything, he's taking advantage of that, and I think it's up to us to no longer invest our true desires of what we want out of our country into fictitious characters and false prophets, because that is precisely what Trump is, and every other politician that comes along that uses stereotypes and demagoguery and saying, nice sound bites to say the things that we want to hear that excites us to think that they're going to actually make those changes that we want. But yeah, I voted John McAfee. If you don't know anything about John McAfee, he was just as much as an eccentric as Trump, but he was very genuine in his character, and he was a libertarian. So,
I think you have to be eccentric to be into politics, especially if you're a libertarian.
What's that?
You have to be eccentric to be a libertarian at all. Or at least that's what I've seen. Like, if you care about politics, there's already something up with you.
Right. I think that's what makes being a libertarian rare, is because we are the type of party that is open to every individual being different. We promote individualism, opposed to where every other party seems to promote statism. You must think like a Democrat in order to be a Democrat. You must think like a Republican in order to be a Republican, And I know Republicans that support gay marriage, and I know Democrats that support, kicking people off of welfare. So it's crazy that they can stand true to their supposed political party just based on them, voting between the lesser of two evils. So they feel as if their choice or their vote is not as beneficial as it would be, or to support any one of the two party candidates. But in a state such as California, it's extremely imperative, because we have a top two party state, which means any top two candidates that win the majority of the votes in the primary advance to the general election, regardless of party. So in the last Senate election, we had two Democratic candidates going head to head. So no Republican, no Libertarian, no third party candidate whatsoever. So we're slowly becoming a one party dominated state. And in the next governor's election in the state of California, that's a great possibility with there being two leading Democratic candidates. So I think it's definitely imperative for us as libertarians to be actively involved. We can't just call ourselves libertarians. We have to be out there speaking about libertarianism, being a libertarian, even just through our lifestyle. We are able to express the ideas of libertarianism. So as long as you remain true to those values, then you can be that example that the world needs to start to vote libertarian.
Can I just ask you a quick question? So you voted for McAfee in the last election cycle. Did you happen to hear what Judd Weiss had to say about the LP, and could you share your thoughts about the LP apparatus itself?
I'm not for certain what he said in particular. Would you mind elaborating on that a little bit for me?
Well, basically, he spoke at length about some of the kind of backroom deals that took place between Gary Johnson and some of the higher ups in the LP, and that it was just basically a lot of horse trading that you would expect to see in a major, Democrat or GOP type arena. So he said that it was essentially no different from big party politics, and even though the LP is just the collection of militant nerds that read Murray Rothbard, but it ended up just being this kind of the same kind of blood sport that you would find in major party politics. So I just wondered if you had any perspective on the LP itself, since you're running on the Libertarian Party ticket.
Right. I know probably on the national level, it probably gets a bit more bureaucratic. I know here on the state level, it's missing a bit more of the organization that we need in order for the Libertarian Party to become more competitive against the Republican and Democrats. We have to be our own sort of promotional marketing machine. So we rely on each other to get that exposure that we need, opposed to through the mainstream media. So I think at the national level, I could see how backroom deals could be made in order to achieve that, in order to make sure that they are seen on CNN and Fox News, etc. And it's sad because it still boils down to money. Even with me running here as a libertarian in the state of California, I'm expected to generate my own campaign funds. And if I'm unable to do so, of course, then I won't be as successful as the Republican and Democratic party candidates. But the one thing that the Libertarian Party looks for itself within candidates is that opportunity for them to be economically viable and be worth the financial investment. So I'm pretty sure if it's happening here on the state level, it's definitely happening on the national level. And I would think that somebody such as Jeff Weiss, McAfee would be able to see more in person of what those interactions actually come out with. And it's sad that it is something that we'll still have to deal with. And it's just a matter of cleaning up the party, sharpening it up, tightening it up, sure. Which is why people like Larry Sharp and Michael Pickens of the Libertarian Leadership Academy and Shane Driscoll over there, those people are very instrumental to building more of that foundation, that solid foundation that we need as Libertarian members to then build a stronger party as a whole, because it is in need of some bells and whistles. It is in need of some character, some pizzazz. It is in need of some mass appeal. And as much as you want to say militant nerds, they be appealing to the masses. I know I love some nerds. I am one myself, but we just got to make being a nerd cool again.
It's okay. I'm okay with being called a militant Rothbard reading nerd. It's accurate. Militant Rothbard reading nerd is accurate for me, so not complaining.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions for me?
Sure. How do you feel about candidates running like Austin Peterson or the Ron Pauls and Rand Pauls of the world running as a major party candidate while running on libertarian ideas?
I think it's great. Actually, what the previous guy the guy that asked me the previous question was talking about the co-opting of the party. I think it's great for us to co-opt other parties too, since we're attempting to be co-opted. So I supported Ron Paul in this presidency run when he ran as a Republican. I even had to register as a Republican and vote Republican, since that's a requirement in the state of California. But I'll do whatever I need to do in order to support libertarian ideals and advocates of libertarianism. I voted for Ron Paul as a Republican. And I did vote for McAfee, like I said, as a libertarian. But if there were any other libertarian candidates such as Austin Peterson, who, wants to now run as a Republican and kind of take back our country. That's what I see it as being. We have to take back our country, no matter what. And even if it boils down to us seeming like an imposter or perpetrator to others, as long as we remain true to our libertarian values, then that's what matters the most. You're always going to have proponents of certain measures and ballots or initiatives that we all may not agree with, but as long as you're, again, staying true to the libertarian of who you are, then you'll always have that advantage and that one foot up amongst the rest. Can I answer that completely?
Yes, thank you.
All right, no problem. Anyone else have any questions?
So we maybe have time for like one more question.
What's that?
What do you think about the gun bill in Congress right now, the reciprocity bill that would make national concealed carry?
Pardon me, can you say that for the louder?
Oh, there's a bill in Congress right now about gun rights, and it's the national concealed carry, the reciprocity one. What do you think about that bill? Or have you heard of it?
Oh, I think I actually spoke on that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, never mind.
You missed it. But no, I'm totally cool with it. And that's the thing is, I think every law enforcement personnel across state lines should be respectful of every person's constitutional rights. Here on college campuses in the state, there's a argument going on with the amount of free speech zones that they are allowed. I'll say that again. Free speech zones that students are allowed. So the college campuses are given them a certain designated area that they're told to stay within to express their freedom of speech. Now, it's in our Constitution, and everywhere, the whole country should be land and should be an area of freedom of speech. But yet these college campuses are dictating to their students, they're paying students, where they should be allowed to express themselves. So I think the level of dictation in government has grown completely out of control, which is why, as a libertarian governor, I will be restricting government itself tremendously. My goal pretty much is to make sure that I reduce government size by 20% each year that I'm in office. And I'll be in office for 4 years. So 20% each year or 25% each year is 100% no government involvement.
Oh, yeah.
I'm out of office. So things like where if someone is coming from a state where they have concealed carry permit would be able to come into the state of California and be afforded the same opportunity to express their liberty freely without having to worry about any type of law enforcement officials arresting them or throwing them in jail or having to deal with any type of criminal, charges because of such.
This ANCAP approves.
All right. Anyone else got anything for me?
All right. Yeah. Thanks so much for speaking to us.
Oh, my pleasure indeed. Hey, I thank you, Justin, for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Very special thank you to all of you, of course, the audience for listening to me and just having me here as a guest. So I thank you very much for the invitation. And of course, if you want to find more about me and my campaign, you're welcome to visit my website. That's Wildstar2018.com, WINDSTAR2018.com. And like I said to you before, I am an active musician. At this time, I'm using my music to spread the message of liberty and promote activism. So you can hear more of my music on SoundCloud. If you go to SoundCloud and enter Vote Libertarian, that's one of my songs. You'll find me, Q-Ball, that's QBALL. And just please, of course, share my music, spread the word. Like I said, we got to be each other's type of promotional agent here. So please spread the word.
I've got one more question for you. What is your best advice? I've always secretly wanted to be a rap artist, so what's your best advice for getting into that?
That's a good one. What'd you say?
I've always secretly wanted to be a rapper.
All right.
And I write a lot of like libertarian punk stuff, so I'm coming from more of that side of things.
Oh, cool. Okay. So what, you want to learn how to be a rapper? Is that
yeah.
Well, one of my songs, I say everybody wants to be a rapper, but nobody wants to be an MC. So learn how to be an MC first.
There you go.
Second, because your message is what's most important. And the rappers that are out there today, if you listen to the messages that they're sharing with the world, it isn't one that's really resonating with the masses. The ones that did, like KRS-One and the underground musicians, or even mainstream musicians that were able to relate to us and impact us, were true MCs. They were people that tapped into that energy that we all share and was able to formulate it in a way of words to where when they shared them and expressed them, it struck a chord within us. I listen to punk music too, and it's a way that you can do that being in a punk MC, and just pretty much just find out different ways to become lyrically fluid, if that makes sense.
Oh, that totally makes sense.
Because there's different ways of delivering yourself lyrically to people. So just be fluid to being open to different ways to doing exactly that.
Good advice.
All right, perfect. Well, again, thank you all so much. And if you want to hear more of my music, definitely check me out on SoundCloud. I got it on Pandora. You can enter Q-Ball, The Real. I'm on Apple iMusic. Amazon, all that good stuff. And of course, check me out on Facebook and Twitter. Be sure to add me, and let's definitely keep in touch. But most importantly, just be sure to please make sure that you continue to spread the liberty, message of liberty to your friends and family, and to everyone out there in the world, and keep the fire of liberty burning in each and every one of you. All right. Thank you so much for your time, you guys.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Does he gonna go above it?
It's even more amazing.
Yeah, we got